Her experience includes a transcription company that grew 6 figures in 16 months, a travel agency, a virtual assistant business, and as an online business manager. She is a mentor and a strategist to virtual assistants and entrepreneurs. Paula's years of varied experience have taught her 2 things. Entrepreneurs need to get out of the day-to-day running of their business, but often find partnering with good help a challenge. And virtual assistants are out there looking for work and need support and mentoring by someone who has been there, done that, and can teach them how to fill their schedule and their pocketbooks. Entrepreneurs and virtual assistants are the perfect match. And when they know the ropes, which Paula can help with, she will work with them both to build great relationships. These good relationships are changing the world of business. Well, Paula, I have to say a round of applause. This is one of my mantras. Entrepreneurs and small business people cannot go to their greatest level of success as long as they are trying to run their day-to-day. They really need that support. And I am so excited to have you here today so we can talk all about it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I agree with you. You can only go so far on your own steam, right?
Exactly. So, let's jump right into that. So what is your big why for working with entrepreneurs to help them build their business?
I actually got in the online business as a transcription company. And so I was helping the back end, and I saw that it was in the early 2000s. So a lot of entrepreneurs were being stopped by getting their stuff out because they didn't know how to get it out there. And it's still the same today. I mean, the internet's a little bit easier now than it was then, but it's still the same. They're having a hard time getting their stuff out. And I don't want the world to be void of whatever their gift is. So my big why is to help that happen, make that happen.
Awesome. And you're right. Even for myself, we were talking a little bit before we got started with the interview. I wanted to go out with video. I've had that plan for over a year. And I was thinking, I need camera equipment and I need this and I need that. And I've been able to get around a lot of what I considered the roadblocks in being able to make that happen. But it's taken time and research and all the things that if I had simply turned this task over when I should have, it could have been something that I did, 10 months ago rather than 2 months ago. So you're absolutely correct about that. And so let's talk a little bit about, I think we kind of touched on already, why should entrepreneurs be using virtual assistants?
Well, there's lots of reasons. One of the first reasons I always say is that you're not good at everything. Whether you think so or not, you can get by. And there's things that you shouldn't be doing in your business. In my business, it's my accounting receipts. I am not good at it. I will leave it. I'm the one that on April 12th will go, oh my gosh, I need to do my taxes. And I still have this bag of receipts sitting on my desk. And so instead of letting that happen anymore, I just hire someone out to do it. It's like, and the relief that comes from that, of not being stopped by that and having that, because I'm thinking about it from January to April, right? Until I finally get it done. And all of that, just not having that on my plate. And I think for entrepreneurs, it's something different, but it's the same feeling. There's always something that you shouldn't be doing. And whether you can do it or not doesn't matter.
It's funny because I talked about this in an earlier episode, but when people ask me about my team, I always include my housekeeper. Because I work from home, and I'm telling you that not worrying about whether the vacuuming is done or whether the laundry has to happen or whether any of these things, just the pressure that I do not feel any longer to make sure all those things happen has released me to spend much more productive time working on my business. I don't have to think about it. It's done.
Right.
So, and I love that example because people don't necessarily think of a housekeeper as being part of their team. They think of VAs and things like that, but anything that takes the worry off your plate and
Hey,
taxes
the
and
Amazon delivery guy is my new teammate.
exactly right, exactly right. So, any other reasons for hiring a virtual assistant? I think not having the expertise we talked about, that's not your area of interest. You may, for instance, I do I do a lot of taxes, personal taxes, things like that, for friends and family, and I don't mind doing it. But in reality, it's not my jam. That's not just
I
because
was a math
do it.
major in college. I was a math major in college. I should be and I did stats and data and took counting classes, whatever, and all that stuff comes really easy to me. But
But it's not where your heart is, and that's the point. It's not the best use of your time. You may be able to do it yourself, but the real question is, should you do it yourself? And the answer is 99% of the time is no. If it's not focused on growing your business, then that belongs in somebody else's lap.
Definitely. And also, even if it is part of what you need to do, it may not be part of what you need, the best interest of your business. So there's a difference between you and your business, and you have to actually get the work done in your business. And a lot of times that work is going out, making sales, being in front of people, doing speaking opportunities, doing what you need to do. And I find that sometimes entrepreneurs will hide behind the busy work and say, well, I don't have time to do all that stuff. And then they're not making sales. And so it also makes, as an entrepreneur, it makes you step into what you need to be doing, because that's the stuff you can't outsource. You can't outsource the relationships and so the sales process and that kind of stuff. You can automate and you can get things going, but that's more for consistency. It's your face is what's going to sell your business. And so, and you being in stuff and talking to people and teaching people how to hire you and things like that. Is how you're going to be. And so sometimes I find entrepreneurs hide behind the busy work because they don't really want to stand up and do that, kind of like what you said about the video, right? It's really easy to get into I got to find the right microphone. I've got to find the right thing. I don't want to do this interview today because, I got up late and did put on makeup and I had 3 meetings already this morning, that kind of thing, right? And so it's really easy to hide behind that.
Exactly right. So now let's get into the nitty gritty. I mean, this is where I'm really looking for some great tips and so forth. How does an entrepreneur start to do their outsourcing? What is the process that you recommend?
So the first thing I always say is you have to set up your business for success of having teammates. And a lot of times entrepreneurs haven't set that up yet. So you need to get those systems in place. And so one of the very first things is to make a list of everything you're doing or needs to be done that you're not doing. And let's outsource one thing at a time. So let's take, maybe it's your social media consistency posting, and you just need someone to go schedule all that out and do all of that stuff. And so get that done, get that off your plate. Now you don't have to think about that anymore. What's the next thing on that list? What's the next thing on that list? But in order to do that social media consistency posting, you've got to have what we call an SOP, a standard of procedure. So you have to have how to get it done. You have to, and it could be that you develop that with your new teammate. You can develop how to get it done and what the best place, because I can tell you, if you hire someone who's good at that, they already know kind of what needs to happen and what will help you get that put in place.
I was going to say, what about those people who are like, I know I need social media, but I don't know what that is. I think that's where you hire a teammate, just like you said, that knows that stuff. And I will say, that's what I resorted to. I've read tons of articles on social media, and I get that I need it, and I understand even the concepts of what I need to do to make it happen, but it's not the best use of my time. So I'm bringing on people who who know this stuff, who can do the research, who can figure out the keywords, who can do, do the kinds of things that make this this happen effectively and not just putting out a half-hearted effort. And frankly, I turned it over to them. It's like, come back to me with your ideas, and sure, we'll, I'll tell you if it resonates with me, but this is your job. This is your area of expertise. I need you to tell me what's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I don't believe is micromanaging the team. If you've hired the right person, which is something I want you to delve into deeper, but if you hire the right person, you should let them be free to do their job. And, then you can look at results and see if there's something you need to change or whatever. But yeah, micromanaging is not an effective use of your time. So find the right teammates that are going to be able to make that work for you. So now, how do we find those teammates?
First of all, let me touch on a little bit on the micromanaging. You're right. And I want to talk about hiring versus contractors. So what you're doing is you're bringing on teammates that are contractors into your company, which means they have their own business. They are experts in what they do, in theory. And so you do have to leverage them well. And so you need to ask the right questions. And that's the other reason, is you need to know what you need in order to ask them for what you need, right? And so it's a little bit of a catch-22 sometimes in that conversations, but keep the communication open and say, hey, I need this, but I don't know how to do it. What do you know about this? And so can we talk about this together and see what the best path for me would be? Because every company doesn't work the same. As you said, you've read numerous articles. Every article says about the same thing, but might say in a different way. But also, there's different ways you can do that in your business. And you can watch that even on social media. If you watch it, you can see, oh, so-and-so's doing it this way, and so-and-so's doing it this way, who's having success. And there's a lot of ways to have success, success differently. So that's the other thing, to know your measure of success.
Yeah. Precisely. So can you do things like you might do if you were working for a corporation? So look at work that, let's say, your virtual assistant has done previously, or, kind of understand the types of projects that they have familiarity with, kind of a pre-interview for hiring.
Oh yeah, you should always hire. And I actually, I know when I hire people into my agency, because I have a virtual assistant agency where I actually use my subcontractors to get the work done for our clients as well. And they have to fill out a form. So there's a pre-qualification form they fill out first. It's kind of like an application that you would fill out in a job. It looks different online, it's like, where's your portfolio? What does this look like? What is, it's specific questions, like what tools have you used? And, or I'm using this tool. Do you think you could, or have you had any experience with it? And have them really think. And in that test for a few things. One of the things I really want to know is what your English skill level is, because most of my clients are here in the United States, and I need to have that vernacular in things that go in and out, and communication and things like that. For some of the positions, it doesn't matter. I mean, a tech person probably never even talks to a client, so it doesn't matter. And we're giving them what they do. So, and so if that doesn't matter, that job, that they don't have to answer that question. That question doesn't matter. But I also, there's certain things I want to know. And as a contractor, they do have the right to, it's their business that you're hiring. You're hiring them as a partner, a teammate, right? You're not really, it's not an employee. So it's not an employee. So it's a little different, that relationship. And so you want to set up those parameters from the beginning. So definitely a pre-interview is what you need to do. And you want to find the person that kind of resonates with your genre and where you're at and what you're doing and things like that. Because if they're not going to be, if they're not into what you're into, it's not going to sound the same coming from them, right?
Oh, very, very true. Yeah. For instance, again, I post articles and things, and this is it. Don't tell anybody, but I don't research finding all of those articles myself. That it takes a lot of time. But I want the person that's doing the research and looking for those articles so that I can, review them and say, yes, this is it. I want them to understand where I'm coming from, my voice, my priorities, so that when that does go out, it's not something that sounds super corporate. It's not something that is talking down to people. It's not something that's very, extra technical. So finding the right person that says, yes, this is a good article, and no, this article is simply not going to work. It may have good information, but it's not the right article. So those are the sorts of things I think that everything goes out, has my blessing. It's what I want, but doing the research to find those things is something that I want to turn to someone else for. And by doing that, that person does need to understand my voice, does need to understand my objectives and so forth.
Right, definitely. And the way to do that is to hire someone on as a temporary, right? So you hire them and pay them for just a little bit of stuff to see how they handle it and see if they get it. And it does take time, though. I mean, they're not going to walk in and be 100% day one. They don't know you yet. I have clients I worked with for 4 or 5 years, and I know them well now, but it took that 4 or 5 years to build that up and things like that. It just takes time. And so one of the things that I think really stops entrepreneurs is they expect success on day one, but I say it's a 90-day period. I find, and on all my experience, it's about a 90-day period where you can tell what's going to happen, because you still have a lot of input on day one, the first month. And then the second month, you're kind of starting that transition, right? You're kind of letting them take the lead and letting them and send it to you. And then you just have the second. And then by the third one, you guys should have a good rhythm going on that works for you.
Agreed. So, and the nice thing with contractors is by having a 90-day period, even if you discover in week 2 that you just are like, oh, this is not happening, you're not normally obligated. It depends I'm sure on the contract that you signed with them, but you're able to continue to find the right person that has the skill set that you need. And you're not in an employee-employer relationship. And also you can flex, and this is there's a couple things that I like about using contractors. One is you can flex to your needs at a particular time.
Right.
So you don't necessarily need the same sort of skill set 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year. It just doesn't work that way. So you can flex based on what your current needs are. And the second thing that I like is that you're not dealing with the HR hassles. And unless you're an expert in HR, you do not want human relations. You do not want to take that on as part of your responsibilities. Not when you're a super small business or solopreneur. It's keeping on the right side of all the regulations can be super challenging, and it's far, far better to, if you find yourself in that position, I highly recommend that you find a teammate that can handle your outsourced HR. Otherwise, I recommend that you use contractors for as many different functions as you need.
Right. It saves you a lot of money to use contractors instead, but it also saves you time and energy. And I always say the thing with like what you said with the 40 hours a week, right? So you're not obligated to that. And so that means that you can hire multiple. I mean, because I can tell you right now, your person who does design work and beautiful social media posts and all of that stuff is not going to be your person that sets up your website. No. Like in the tech part of it, because their brains are totally different. And so, they usually tend to be on one or the other. And, so, you don't want that to be the same person, but then, you can use them as you need them, just like you said. And you write up the contract between you that allows you in and out of the contract, or allows for flexibility. Some VAs, virtual assistants, don't like that. They want you to pay a certain amount per month and things like that. So you have to literally look at what kind of contract you want. There's every scenario out there. You can find the right person.
That's great. So just to kind of sum things up, we both agree that you need a team. And even if you're right now saying, I can't afford a team, then you're not making enough sales. So you definitely need a team because you need to get some things off your plate. And I will say that, which is probably not Paula's recommendation, but I would start with looking to your children and see what things they might be able to take on. You know, if you can't afford a housekeeper, get your kids to do more chores. If you can hire a middle schooler to help you sort your files and organize things and empty your wastebasket, then you do that and bring them up to do those sorts of things so that those, at least that small part is off your plate. But you want to hire a team as soon as possible, and you'll do it in chunks. You won't hire everybody on the first day, right? You prioritize.
Yeah. One at a time. You can't handle more than that, and really, honestly, because you need to develop that relationship and the communication stream, and to have that kind of time and energy, to bring on a whole team would be too much. Yeah.
Exactly.
One at a time. One thing at a time.
One thing at a time. Bring on somebody as soon as possible. If you cannot afford somebody right now and you desperately need them, it means that you need to figure out how to make a little bit more in sales so that you can bring them on, because you're clearly at that breaking point. And I have formulas and all kinds of things so you can figure out when's the right time to bring somebody on. But basically be thinking that that person is going to free up your time to make more sales, to run your business at a higher level. And I've never heard anybody say, I made a big mistake by hiring a VA, unless it's one particular hiring, one particular hire. But everyone that's hired has seen the value immediately. They've been so pleased.
Yeah.
So hire your first person on your team. Do a pre-interview, correct? Do a pre-interview checklist. Try them out for a trial period with something small to begin with. See how that works, and then add. Don't throw your whole desk at them and say, fix this. And anything more than that? What have I forgotten?
Have fun with it. Yeah, so I think that's it. I will say that I don't disagree with you about hiring your teenagers and stuff. I've run businesses since my kids were growing up. All my kids are out of the house. The person who does my receipts is actually a local girl who started working with me when she was a teen that I raised in my home daycare. And she's my cat sitter, and she still takes care of all my receipts every month and organizes them and stuff. So she's in college now, but she still does it. So
that's perfect.
I have no problems hiring out family.
Perfect. So now, Paula, let's talk about a little bit about what you do. You run an agency that actually trains and places virtual assistants, correct? So yeah. Just tell me a little bit about that as we wrap up. And do you have anything that you can offer the listeners to, how to get a hold of you and so forth?
Yeah, sure. So there are a few things that, what was your first question? I'm sorry. I just lost it. You said, I do have something on my website.
Just a little bit about what you do, how you can help, and if people can contact you.
That's right. This live stuff, what is this about? And, yeah, so you can, what I do is I actually run an agency that has VAs that we do the work and everything else. I'm actually the front person for that agency. So you see me, you get to talk and communicate with me. That's one of the ways that people work with me. That agency fills up fast. I don't have a lot of space in it very often. And so what I did was I opened up a virtual assistant training academy, because most of my my VAs on my team plus other VAs just need a place to learn how to do this. And it's not the task. A lot of people say, well, can you use this? Can you use ActiveCampaign? Can you use Infusionsoft? Can you use this stuff? That's not really, I mean, you're hiring for that kind of, because honestly, if they're a tech person, they can use all of them because we know the language and we know how to get in. So I always laugh when someone, something new comes on the market and someone says, have you used that? I'm like, give me 10 minutes. Yes. It's like, because I know how to push the buttons. I'm a tech person. So my design is not that great, but my tech is good. And I've been pushing buttons for almost 20 years. So, so that's who I am. And so I train virtual assistants more on the how to show up for entrepreneurs, how to really be there for them, because it's a different than in the corporate environment where you show up to work and you get work handed to you on your desk. It's a partnership. It's more like being invested. So I teach them how that they need to partner with somebody who they believe in, who they see, and they're part of building a business. I had a client this year finally hit the $1 million mark. It took us 5 years, and we made it to the $1 million mark this year. And actually, we're way on track. I mean, we already hit 6 figures in January by the 10th of January. And so I mean, we've just got that train going, but it took 5 years to get to that. She wasn't at that spot at that time. And it took us building our relationship, building a team finally. We got to a lot of that, just the two of us. It was a lot of work. And so we've got a nice team in place and things like that. And it's more how you show up. I'm as invested as she is in the numbers and in the business and everything else. I mean, she's doing the front man work and I'm doing the behind the scenes stuff. And so that's the kind of partnership you try to make from the VA side and from the entrepreneur side. So as you're looking at the people you're hiring for your company culture, just like Google and Yahoo and stuff, they hire for company culture. And so should you. And so that is one of the things that I teach VAs. I train them. And then what I do is when entrepreneurs come to me, I say, oh, I have these VAs over here, hire them, because first of all, they're going to be a lot cheaper than I am. And second of all, I don't have the room. So you can't serve everyone. And so this is the way I can help serve everyone without serving everyone, because that's who I am in my heart. I don't want anyone to go without. So I'm like, oh yeah, I can help you. And then I get overwhelmed and overworked. My team is like, enough. Hire more team.
Great. So put your contact information in the chat, and can people call you just to ask you questions? Obviously not to just say, hey, I need you to give me this or show me that or find me the person, but I'm not going to, but just to ask them questions about what makes a good hire, or, if there's something you have that you can offer, those sorts of things. Do you have a way for them to contact you?
Yeah, so I don't ever answer my phone, so don't call me. If you're not on my schedule or one of my children, you don't get to call me without an appointment, just because that would be a big distraction in my day. But I do have a calendar booking link. I have everything on my website, so you can find it. And on my website also is a download that I offer, and it is for entrepreneurs and it's called the top 20 things you can outsource. And so there's things like where to get started, and it's how to get started also. So it kind of goes through a little bit of what we've talked about. And it also gives you a way to get a hold of me there and stuff. And I am more than happy to answer questions. People Facebook message me and stuff, and I do get back to them eventually. I can't get to all of them in one day, but I usually get back to them within a day or so, and get the messages out. And I love to answer those questions. I love to help people just make these things work.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Paula. This has been great today. We'll be talking again soon, I'm very, very sure. Put your information in the chat, and please, everybody, if you've been thinking about adding to your team, take Paula up on her offer and contact her, do the download, find out what your VAs can do for you. Take advantage of her generosity. All right. See you soon.
Thank you so much for having me on.